Over 900 civilians dead around Kyiv, Russia vows new attacks. More than 900 bodies of civilians have been discovered in the Kyiv region following the withdrawal of Russian forces. Kyiv, Ukraine, indignant over what it called Ukrainian strikes in Russian territory and following the stunning loss of its Black Sea flagship, Moscow, threatened renewed missile attacks on Kyiv, where authorities said the bodies of more than 900 civilians were found outside the capital. Most had been shot dead, police said, and likely, simply executed. Russian forces prepared for a renewed offensive in eastern Ukraine, and fighting also went on in the pummeled southern port city of Mariupol, where locals reported seeing Russian troops digging up bodies. In the northeastern city of Kharkiv, the shelling of a residential area killed 7 people, including a 7-month-old child, and wounded 34, according to regional governor Oleh Sinhabov. Early Saturday, Kyiv's eastern district of Darnitsky was struck, Mayor Vitaly Klitschko said in an online posting. He said rescuers and paramedics were on the scene. He warned residents who have fled the capital not to return for their safety. In the towns around Kyiv, said Andriy Nebatov, who heads the region's police force, bodies were abandoned in the streets or given temporary burials. He cited police data indicating 95% died from gunshot wounds. Consequently, we understand that under the Russian occupation, people were simply executed in the streets, Nebatov said. More bodies are being found every day under rubble and in mass graves, he added, with the largest number found in Bucha, more than 350. According to Nebatov, utility workers gathered and buried bodies in the Kyiv suburb while it remained under Russian control. Russian troops, he added, had been tracking down people who expressed strong pro-Ukrainian views. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky accused Russian troops occupying parts of the Kherson and Zaporizhia regions in the south of terrorizing civilians and hunting for anyone who served in Ukraine's military or government. The occupiers think this will make it easier for them to control this territory. But they are very wrong. They are fooling themselves, Zelensky said in his nightly video address. Russia's problem is that it is not accepted, and never will be accepted, by the entire Ukrainian people. Russia has lost Ukraine. Officials think 2,500 to 3,000 Ukrainian troops have died in the war, Zelensky told CNN in an interview. He said about 10,000 have been injured and it's hard to say how many will survive. More violence could be in store for Kyiv after Russian authorities accused Ukraine of wounding 7 people and damaging about 100 residential buildings. With airstrikes in Bryansk, a region bordering Ukraine, authorities in another border region of Russia also reported Ukrainian shelling Thursday. The number and the scale of missile attacks on objects in Kyiv will be ramped up in response to the Kyiv nationalist regime committing any terrorist attacks are diversions on the Russian territory, Russian Defense Ministry spokesman Igor Konashenkov said. Russia used missiles to destroy a facility for the repair and production of missile systems in Kyiv, Konashenkov said. The Ukrainian state arms manufacturer, Ukroboronprom, said Russian forces struck one of the missile workshops at the Vazar plant, located near Kyiv's Zhuliany airport. Ukrainian officials have not confirmed striking targets in Russia, and the reports could not be independently verified. However, Ukrainian officials said forces did strike a key Russian warship with missiles. A senior U.S. defense official backed up the claim, saying the U.S. now believes the Moskva was hit by at least one Neptune anti-ship missile, and probably 2. The official spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss an intelligence assessment. The Moskva, named for the Russian capital, sank while being towed to port Thursday after taking heavy damage. Moscow did not acknowledge any attack, saying only that a fire had detonated ammunition on board. The loss of the ship represents an important victory for Ukraine and a symbolic defeat for Russia. The sinking reduces Russia's firepower in the Black Sea and seemed to symbolize Moscow's fortunes in an 8-week invasion widely seen as a historic blunder. Following the Russian retreat from the Kyiv region and much of northern Ukraine, a flagship Russian warship is a worthy diving site. We have one more diving spot in the Black Sea now. We'll definitely visit the wreck after our victory in the War. Ukrainian Defense Minister Oleksiy Reznikov tweeted Friday. Russia's warning of renewed airstrikes did not stop Kyiv residents from taking advantage of a sunny and slightly warmer spring Friday as the weekend approached. More people than usual were out on the streets, walking dogs, riding electric scooters and strolling hand in hand. Such tentative signs of pre-war life have resurfaced in the capital after Russian troops failed to capture the city and retreated to concentrate on eastern Ukraine, leaving behind evidence of possible war crimes. But a renewed bombardment could mean a return to the steady wail of air raid sirens heard during the early days of the invasion and to fearful nights sheltering in subway stations. In Mariupol, the city council said Friday that locals reported seeing Russian troops digging up bodies buried in residential courtyards and not allowing new burials of people killed by them. Why the exhumation is being carried out and where the bodies will be taken is unknown, the council said on the Telegram messaging app. Fighting continued in industrial areas in the port, and Russia for the first time used the Tu-22 M3 long-range bomber to attack the city, said Alexander Matusyanik, a spokesman for the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense. Mariupol has been blockaded by Russian forces since the early days of the invasion, and dwindling numbers of Ukrainian defenders have held out against a siege that has come at a horrific cost to trapped and starving civilians. The mayor said this week that the city's death toll could surpass 20,000. Other Ukrainian officials have said they expect to find evidence in Mariupol of atrocities like the ones discovered in Bucha and other towns outside Kyiv. Mariupol's capture would allow Russian forces in the south, which came up through the annexed Crimean Peninsula, to fully link up with troops in the Donbass region, Ukraine's eastern industrial heartland and the target of the looming offensive. It's not certain when Russia will launch a full-scale campaign. Also Friday, a Russian rocket hit an airport at night in the central city of Alexandria, Mayor Serhiy Kuzmenko said via Facebook. He made no mention of, and a regional Ukrainian official said 7 people were killed and 27 wounded when Russian forces fired on buses carrying civilians in the village of Borovaya, near Kharkiv. The claim could not be independently verified. Dmytro Chebenko, a spokesman for the regional prosecutor's office, told the Suspil news website that authorities had opened criminal proceedings in connection with a suspected violation of the laws and customs of war, combined with premeditated murder. Fish reported from Kramatorsk. Burns reported from Washington. Associated Press journalists around the world contributed to this report. Follow the app's coverage of the war at https://apnews.com/hub/Russia-Ukraine.